Hello, amazing humans. In this video, I want to introduce you to a muscle that not very many people really think about, your inner thigh muscles. There's a group of muscles on the inner thigh that are called abductors. Now, unless you've pulled your groin in this area or have had pain in this area, you're probably not really that aware of this area at all. I know I was never consciously conscious about my inner thigh area and how it can influence movement. So having tight abductors is actually a really common problem that a lot of people have, and I will say especially women. We're going to explore a little bit deeper to see, do you have tight abductors, and how do tight abductors influence how you move through this world? And then more importantly, how can you release tight abductors to get more freedom of movement in the pelvis that can influence better balance in standing and in walking? So start in a firm chair, feet flat on the floor, and just observe how are you sitting in this moment. Feel the bones of your sit bones in the chair. Notice, how did you naturally align your feet with your knees, with your pelvis? So there's no need to correct anything. This is just observing, how are you the most comfortable in this moment? Are your knees the same distance as your pelvis? Are they wider out? Are they closer together? And then notice how your feet are lined up underneath your knees. So maybe your feet are in front of your knees, maybe your feet are behind your knees, maybe they're outward of your knees, maybe they're inwards of your knees. Just notice, where was your natural instinct to put your feet and your knees. And now in the position that you just sat down in, begin to do the movement of rolling your pelvis backwards, tucking your tailbone underneath you. We've done this movement before. And then rolling your pelvis forward to stick your tailbone out. And just feel, how is your body making this movement happen of rolling backwards, putting more pressure onto the tailbone, and rolling your pelvis forward to stick your tailbone out. How much of your spine is moving? Can you feel your sit bones rolling on the chair beneath you? How easy or comfortable does the movement feel? And that's great. You can just pause and rest. And now pick a leg. It doesn't matter what leg. If you do have any hip joint pain at all, pick the side that's the most comfortable, so the least amount of pain. For this demonstration and video, I'm going to choose my right leg, but if there's any pain in your right leg, then definitely switch it over to the left leg. So move your right foot and your right knee a little bit closer to your left, and just notice, how does that feel? I feel crooked. What about you? Just notice. I also had a shift on my bum to maintain my balance. Notice how your body is coordinating this movement of bringing the right knee closer to your left, and then slide your right knee and foot back to the midline wherever you started, and then slide the right foot and the right knee closer to the left knee. And just go back and forth from your neutral to the middle, back and forth a few times. You can take your time with this, so you can, place it there if that's easier, and then bring it back, or you can slide your foot, whatever works for you. Bringing it closer in and then back out. Make sure you're breathing, make the movement comfortable. And then you can just rest. Ooh. And feel if anything's different. Already, I can feel my right knee wants to flop outwards. Just notice for you if anything's different. Is your right knee and your right foot in the same place, or do you want to adjust it somehow so it's in a different, more comfortable spot? And then when you're ready, take your right foot and your right knee and slide it over so your leg opens more outwards, and then back to your neutral. So you're sliding your right knee and your right foot more outwards, and then back to your neutral. And you can also place it over there if that's easier for you. If you're working on the carpet and your socks don't slide, that's fine too. And you're just going nice and slow and simply sliding your right knee and your right foot a little bit more out, and then back to your neutral. And then you can do the full spectrum of sliding all the way out as far as you're comfortable, and then all the way in. So you're sliding your right foot and your right knee all the way out and all the way in. Just feeling, how are you making this work? Is there something that you can let go of to make the movement a little bit easier? Opening up that right knee and foot and closing it like a little door. Going at your own pace. And it doesn't have to be a big movement like I'm doing. It can be a very small movement past your neutral. It doesn't have to be a big one. And then you can just let that go and rest, and notice, where do you naturally put your right foot? Is it off of the midline that you were in before. My right foot and knee are creeping more and more outwards. This feels like a more natural position for me, a more comfortable position. Actually, it even wants to go more out. So if you do notice a change, that's what's happening, is you're bringing your brain's attention to this inner muscle here, the abductor muscle here. We all have to move through this world somewhat unconsciously with habitual patterns, and many of us have a habitual pattern of holding these muscles tight. These slow, gentle movements are bringing awareness to these muscles here that they can contract, but they can also let go. Contract and let go. And this often disrupts that habitual pattern of holding tight, and you find a more happy, balanced neutral. So let's do just a few more movements to bring even more awareness to your brain of what's going on in these abductors and see if we can even release a little bit more. So wherever your right foot is the most comfortable, keep your right foot planted to the floor and begin to move your right knee over your right foot a little bit inwards and a little bit outwards. So your right foot isn't moving off the floor, it's just your right knee is swinging a little bit inwards and a little bit outwards. Do the movement nice and slow. Keep the movement comfortable. Only do the movement as far that's comfortable for you. Notice where is there any tension in your shoulders, in your jaw. That doesn't have to be a part of this movement here. And that's wonderful. You can just let that go. Notice if there's anything different. I actually have to adjust my right foot to go even wider out. Notice how you're sitting. Are you starting to feel a little bit lopsided? Notice anything true for you. And then notice where your right knee is in space. You can even have a hand on your right knee to sort of hold it in this space. So this time, instead of moving your knee around your foot, you're going to move your foot around your knee. So your knee kind of stays in the same place and you're sliding your foot a little bit to the inside and a little bit to the outside. And your knee kind of just stays in one spot. And again, it doesn't have to be a big movement. It can be a very tiny movement. So you're moving your foot around your knee. Again, keep the movement comfortable. Only go to where you're the most comfortable. And that's wonderful. You can let that go. Just rest. Place your foot wherever is the most comfortable for you now. And notice if it's in a different place. Notice where you've put your feet now. Are they wider or closer together than they were at the start? Notice where your knees are. Are they in a different spot now? Notice where your knees are compared to your feet. So are they more lined up? Are your knees more inwards of your feet, outwards of your feet, or maybe they're kind of more directly over top of your feet now? As you're sitting, do you feel more open on the right side? And when you're ready, you can slowly do the very first movement of rolling your pelvis backwards, putting more pressure onto your tailbone, and then rolling your pelvis forward, sticking your tailbone out. And just notice, is there a difference between the two legs? Like, can you feel your pelvis rolling around these two femur heads in a very different relationship, a very different connection? This is quality information for your brain about how to do these micro adjustments that your brain does naturally, unconsciously, to get you out of the pattern of holding these abductors tight. Maybe there's a chance that releasing that tension in the abductors can give you more freedom of movement in the pelvis, which can translate into more stability while walking around, more stability when you're walking upstairs or over top of a curb or downstairs. All right, so if you did notice a difference, let me know down below. I love cheering you on. Keep exploring that connection between the pelvis and the leg and the release of the abductor muscles. And we will see you in the next video. Okay, bye.